The games and tricks presented in this video are intended solely for entertainment and enjoyment. The producer does not intend or condone the use of any games and tricks for gambling purposes where such activities would be restricted or illegal.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm Gary Lumpkin, and this is Grandma's. You know, it's just like thousands of other watering holes around the country. Pretty soon, well, it's going to be filled with people, friends, and soon-to-be friends. It's also the birthplace of many a bar bet. You know, those are those deceptively simple little wagers that you can't lose. Thing is, you can't win. I know all about those bar bets because I'm an expert. Oh, yeah. In fact, I'm probably the world's leading authority on bar bets.
That's right. He's fallen for just about everyone that's ever come along. I've poured more drinks for his friends or even strangers than I've poured for him.
Well, I never said how I acquired that knowledge. Oh, by the way, that's Michelle. We keep her behind the bar. It keeps America safe for single men. Now, you know, most everybody knows 2 or 3 bar bets, but in the next half hour or so, we're going to show you over 20 of the best bar bets we know.
All carefully researched by Gary, sparing no expense.
Okay, with that, let's get started. Now, all bar bets fall into several categories. For example, there are the skill bets, like this. I bet I can slide this glass to the edge of the bar without it falling over. Bets like this usually require a little practice.
Or some clever camera tricks.
Well, then there are the knowledge bets. For example, I bet you can't name all 7 of the dwarfs. Or maybe the odd bets, things that sound like a long shot, but are in reality a sure thing. Well, here's one. I'll bet there are in this room 2 people that have the same birthday. By the way, with over 45 people in a room, it's almost a certainty. Oh, and then there are the trick bets. Those are real common, where only you know the secret.
My favorites are physical bets. Mildly athletic feats. Guys fall for this every time, especially if it's coming from a woman. Like betting a guy he can't jump backwards. I'll show you that one later.
Now, the key to a good bar bet is that it has to look like a sure thing. You know, obvious and totally transparent. It's got to look like there's no catches or gimmicks or tricks. Which brings us to the rules. Because you see, in bar bets, the rules are very important, and everybody has to agree on all the rules before the bet is made. Best thing about bar bets is to keep the rules as few and as simple as possible. Oh, and give the other guy as much control over the bet as possible. Like if you're using cards, well, the best bets allow him to handle the cards at all times. And when it comes to enforcing the rules and maybe handling sore losers, well, you need a witness. Oh, and bartenders make great witnesses because they can remind everybody of the humor in the bet and also remind the loser that he agreed to the bet and the rules in the first place. Also, don't bet so much that the win or the loss becomes serious. Keep it at the level where the most serious loss is in the form of embarrassment. Oh, and finally, there are the words. Because in most bar bets, words are critical. For example, I mean, there is a big difference between balancing an egg on its end and standing an egg on its end. Now, a good idea when it comes to bar bets is to use things you find laying around, simple things, obvious things like coins. There's always coins at a bar.
Yeah, some people even use them as tips.
You know, I've heard that. Here's one. I'm going to lay these 15 coins out, and I'll bet you I can pick up the last one.
What if I take them all away first?
Well, there are a couple of rules. And the rules are you can take 1 or 2 coins at a time, but if you take 2, they have to be touching. You go first.
Any of them?
Sure. 1 or 2. Okay. You take that one, okay, and I'll take some. All right. You can take 1 or 2. You're just going to take 1, okay? 2, and I'll take 2. And I got the last one. Now here's how it works. The key is to get the other guy to go first. Now, no matter what he does on that first move, you do the opposite on the opposite side of the circle. So if he takes 2, you take 1. The idea is to leave 2 equal semicircles. Then you do exactly what he does on the opposite side of the circle. So if he takes 1 over here, you take 1 over here. If he takes 2 from here, you take 2 from here. Doing exactly the same thing on the opposite side of the circles. He takes that one, and you're left with the last one. It works every time.
Okay, most people don't know much about coins, including you, Gary. I'll bet you can't guess the number of pennies it takes, stacked on their side, to equal the height of 1 penny standing on its edge.
How close do I have to come?
Okay, I'll give you a margin of error of 2.
Ooh, now that's a good point to remember to make your bet, is give that person a margin of error. In this case, a margin of error 2 means like 1 on either side. So I'll guess 6, no, 7. 7, I'll guess 7.
Okay, you're close. Most people guess a little lower than that, about 4 or 5. But it takes 12 and a half.
No.
Yep. There's 3 here, 12 and a half.
And a little bit more would make 12 and a half. Now here's something else you'll always find at a bar. Work great for bets. I'm talking about matches. And it really doesn't make any difference whether they're the old kind like this, the wooden ones in a box, or paper matches, because I've got a surefire bar bet for each one. Like, for example, the paper matches here. All you have to do is bet someone that you can take one match out, throw it up in the air, and it'll land on its edge and stay there. Sounds impossible, right? Well, here's the trick. You just bend the match before you throw it in half, and when you throw it in the air, it'll land on its edge every time. Simple. Now, if you've got the other kind of matches, here's the bar bet that works. And I really don't know why this one works, but it does. It's physics, I guess. But you bet someone that they can't take this box of matches, hold it about 6 inches off the table, the bar, and drop it so that it lands right on its edge like this and stays there. Okay? They can't do it. They'll try and try and try, but you bet them that you can. And here's where the physics comes in, because before you drop it, you slide the drawer up just a little bit, like this, and then when you drop it, it sticks. Physics. Now, what are the odds that you can name 2 cards in a deck that are touching? I mean, right next to each other. Pretty long? Well, not really, if you put a few restrictions on the game. The bet is simple. They name any 2 non-consecutive cards that are not face cards. For example, 2 and 7, or 8 and 10. But not 5 and 6, they're consecutive, or Jack and King. Well, let's try 3 and 9. Let them shuffle, cut, and then look through the deck. Now, you won't win every time, but those long odds, they're over 80% in your favor. So this is one you might want to play several times in a row.
Okay, Gary, here's one that's the height of simplicity. All I need is a simple line and 3 coins. And I'll bet you can't get the same number of heads and tails on either side of the line.
These 3 coins, this line. Okay, well, let's see if I put a head over here and a tail over there, and then maybe a head. How do you do it?
The key is to get the nickel, and use nickels because they work the best, to balance on the line. One thing every bar has is lots of glasses, and they're great for tons of bar bets. Gary, I'll bet you can't take this ice cube and put it in a glass and keep it from hitting on the side.
You mean just float it in the water? Well, I'm sure I can do that. Okay, just put it in there. I'll be real careful. I got it in the center. Okay, good. Now, it's not touching the side. Oh, wait a minute. It's moving.
No matter how hard you try to position it, it's always going to gravitate towards the edge.
It is. I put it right in the center, and sure enough, it's going right back. It can't be done.
Yes, it can.
How?
The key is to take a glass of water that's filled over the top, Put the ice cube in, and the tension of the water in the glass will keep it from hitting on the side.
Okay, it's going towards the edge again. No, Michelle. It went right up close to the edge, but it didn't touch. And now it's going back to the center. It works.
Now here's one that sounds very simple. You bet someone they can't arrange 4 nuts or sugar cubes or anything so that they are all the same distance apart. There's no other rules. Now most people will quickly put them in a square. But see, the diagonal is not equal to the sides. Well, after that, it can get pretty creative, but nothing works. The key is in the 3rd dimension. Simply place 1 cube on an inverted glass and arrange the others in an equal-sided triangle of the height of the glass. You'll get it close enough to win.
Michelle, do you have a couple of straight-edge beer mugs and a pitcher of water? Now, here's one using just ordinary props where you throw out a bit of a red herring. It's great because you get involved with some activity that kind of throws the person off you're betting with. You see, what you do once you get your props there is you kind of make a big deal out of pouring the water, like you're really concerned about measuring and getting it just so, and kind of play it up a little bit. Then you turn to the person you're going to make the bet with and say, I'll bet you that I can get exactly half full, a glass, this glass, half full of water. Exactly, precisely. And you can't.
Well, I suppose if you just make it look half full and try and make them even, they're about half full.
No, not about half full, precisely.
Well, there's no way to tell.
Oh, yes, there is. Here's how you do it. And just like that. Now, the trick is to get a straight edge glass so that the line of the water, when you turn it on an angle, comes from this corner to this corner. It cuts it exactly in half. Half water, half empty, half full. Now here's one where you make them think the bet requires skill, but there's really a trick involved. Using a dollar bill, and Michelle, you got a beer bottle there? There's always dollar bills and beer bottles at a bar, right? Well, you bet them that they can't get this dollar bill out from under the beer bottle without moving the bottle, or, well, here, make it even harder. Get an empty bottle and turn it upside down. This will really get them. And say, okay, get the dollar bill out, but you can't touch the bottle, and you certainly can't knock it over. Well, they'll think it's a skill involved, and they'll try to yank the dollar bill out real quickly. It won't come out. Here's the trick. All you do is very slowly roll the dollar bill this way. As you get closer to the beer bottle, then you have to be careful. But then, as you roll it, it'll slide the bottle over, and the dollar bill will slowly work its way out. Not a lot of skill, except being slow and easy. You didn't touch it, and you got the dollar bill, and you win the bet.
Okay, here's one that starts to challenge the male ego a little bit. Gary, do you have any quarters?
You bet. I got some quarters.
Okay. I'll give you a dime for every quarter you can balance on its edge.
Just like this, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. May take a while, but that's easy enough to do. Okay.
You done?
Yeah, that's enough.
Okay. 1 quarter, 1 dime, 1 quarter, 1 dime, 1 quarter, dime, quarter, dime.
Hey, wait a minute. That's cheating.
No, Gary, you didn't listen. I said I would give you a dime for every quarter. Sometimes you have to listen.
Now here's a quickie. You take 7 matches, wooden or paper, and arrange them so that 6 equals 2 in Roman numerals. Then, bet someone they can't make an accurate equation out of it, you know, where both sides are the same, by moving only 1 match. Well, it's easy if you make the square root of 1 equal to 1. This is great for your egghead friends.
There's a whole series of bets that have to do with just simple human knowledge and human behavior. Gary, I'll bet you can't name the 7 dwarfs. And if you can, I have the name of the last one you'll name on a piece of paper.
You've already written it down?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I can name them first. Okay, there's Doc and Sleepy and Grumpy and Sneezy, Happy, Dopey. That's 6. Doc, Sleepy. Bashful. How'd you do that?
99% of the time, everybody picks Bashful because it's out of the sleepy, grumpy, dumpy, mumpy mode.
Well, you know, the same idea will apply to the planets. Ask someone this question. I bet you can't name all 9 of the planets in our solar system. And if you can, I'm going to write down the one that you're going to say last. Go ahead.
Okay. Mars, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Saturn, Jupiter, Pluto, Uranus. I don't know.
That's 8.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you had gotten all 9, the one you would have named last, the one you didn't name, is right here.
Neptune.
Yeah, and that's the one I wrote down. Neptune. Because if you can find someone that can name them all, almost always, this will be the one they name last. It just works.
Now here's one that everybody picks the wrong trick. Gary, I'll bet you can't name the northernmost, southernmost, easternmost, and westernmost states of the Union.
Oh, I can do that, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Well, okay, let's see. Southernmost, Texas or Florida? Florida. And easternmost is probably, well, Maine. Northernmost, I bet it's Minnesota.
Now remember, there's 50 states.
50. Well, that's the trick. Okay, well, the northernmost would be Alaska, and then the westernmost would be Hawaii. So I got them.
That's not bad. You got 1 out of 4 right.
1? No way.
Hawaii is clearly the southernmost, and Alaska is the rest.
Okay, Alaska could be northern, Hawaii could be southern, but how could Alaska be eastern and westernmost?
Stretches across the international date line.
Oh. You know, if you do this bar bet with someone, make sure it's someone smaller. Now here's one where the delivery is everything. Michelle, I bet I can make you say the wrong word.
How?
Well, say the word shop.
Shop.
Spell the word shop.
S-H-O-P.
Now use the word shop in a sentence.
I like to shop.
What do you do when you come to a green light?
Stop.
No. When you come to a green light, you...
Oh, no.
Yeah, you said the wrong word. You see, you set them up with shop, and they say stop.
Okay, Gary. I'll bet you that I can get my heads to equal your heads.
What does that mean?
Okay, I've got 10 quarters here. 5 are heads and 5 are tails. And when I turn my back, you can mix up the coins any way you want.
Can I turn them over?
Nope, just mix them up.
Okay.
And without opening my eyes, I'll select 5 coins. And the amount of heads that I have in my hand will equal the ones that are left on the table.
Oh, no way. Okay, turn around. Okay, I'm mixing them up. Okay. Now they're all mixed up.
Okay.
There they are.
Thank you.
Okay, you're going to take how many? 5?
5.
Okay, and you left me with 2 heads.
2 heads. Okay. And I have 2 heads.
Now, how did you do that?
The key is always to turn your stack over before you set it down. And your stack will match the coins left on the table.
It works. Well, that was a good one, Michelle, but I can also tell heads from tails, but I can do it by the sound. So you can not only mix these coins up, but you can flip them over if you want to.
Just by the sound. This is one I can't believe, Gary.
Oh, sure. Now, it's very simple. All you have to do is just turn over 1 coin at a time, okay? Because I have to be able to hear the coins, all right? Just by the sound, I'll know. Oh, you know what you can do? When I turn back around, you cover up one of the coins, and I'll tell you if it's a head or a tail. All right?
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right.
Okay. Oh, it's a head.
How did you do that?
Well, this one's a little bit complicated, but it works. You see, before I turned around, you notice how many heads are already here. And then each time I heard a coin being flipped over, I add to that. So we started off with 3, and then 4, 5, 6, it's whatever. Then when I turn back around, I've ended up on either an odd or an even number. The number of heads has to also be the same, either odd or even. So when you have a coin covered up, if I ended up on an odd number, and I look here, and I see, oh, there's only an even number here, I know that this one has to be a head to make the total odd. Works every time.
A little patience helps here. Bet that no one can remove an ice cube from a glass using only a thread or a thin string. Now you start by tying a loop in the string, and that way everyone will try some method of lassoing or snagging the ice cube. When they all fail, you simply lay the loop onto the cube, add a little salt, and wait. In a minute or so, the salt will melt the string down into the cube, and then the ice will refreeze. You merely lift up on the string and smile.
Now here's one that's a little bit different. It's a little bit hardcore, but it works every time. You bet someone that you can drink 3 beers before they can drink 1 shot. There's a couple of rules. They have to give you a 1 beer head start, and nobody can touch anybody else's glass. There's no fooling around that way. After they take the bet, you start drinking your first beer. Well, after you've had your 1 beer head start, you do this. Cover his shot glass with your empty beer glass. Oh, remember that rule we said real quickly where you can't touch anybody else's glass? He can't touch your glass, so he can never drink his shot glass. He touches that glass, he loses. You've got all the time you want to drink your 2 beers and collect your bet.
Now let's try some of those physical bets I talked about. Now, Gary, I know you have great powers of concentration, but I'll bet if you stand right here, you have to move before I walk around you 3 times.
Now what am I going to do? I'm going to stand up?
Stand right here.
Okay, I'm going to stand up.
And I'll walk around you 3 times, and before I do, you will have to move at least a foot.
So you're going to, like, touch me or push me? Or
No, I'm not going to touch you. I'm just going to walk
Anybody
around.
going to touch me?
Nope.
Anything going to touch me?
No, not a thing.
Oh, I can stand here. Go ahead, walk. Okay. I can concentrate. You won't bug me. Go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, she's there going around. Is this supposed to distract me, make me move? That's 1 time. I haven't moved yet.
And I'm not touching you.
No, you're not touching me, but I'm still not moving, Michelle. Okay, that's 2.
That's right.
And now comes the 3rd. Oh, I get it. I move before the 3rd. You're never... I'm not going to stand here all night. You win.
Okay, I'll give you another chance. Here's one that maybe you can win at. Do you ever notice there's no backward jumping contests or running contests?
Well, no, I guess I never did notice.
Well, that's because you guys can't jump backwards.
Sure I can. I can jump backwards.
Oh,
I
very
win.
good. Yeah. Well, then I'll bet you that you can't jump backwards over this beer bottle.
I jump backwards over the beer bottle.
Just backwards.
Well, it's kind of high, but I can do that.
Okay. All I do is set it against the wall.
Well, there's no way I can do that. You win again.
Like I said, you guys always fall for the physical bets.
This time you got me up against the wall, though.
And that's not the first time.
Huh?
Remember?
Oh, up against the wall, that's right. Oh, she already pulled this one on me. You won't believe it. It's so simple, and I can't believe I fell for it. See, Michelle bet me that I couldn't stand against the wall and lift my left leg for 3 seconds. And I thought about it for a second. I said, well, wait a minute, that's not so tough. You know, if I stand like this, sure, my knee's going to hit, but I can lift it like that, and Lifting it like this, I can press back and lift. No problem. But there was a little more to it than that.
That's right. When I made the bet, I said I got to put you against the wall.
Watch
You have
that.
to make sure that your shoulder, your hip, and your feet, your right foot is against the wall. Now try.
Now all of a sudden, with all of those parts touching, you can't lift your foot without falling over. Certainly not for 3 seconds. I mean, you can scramble and claw. It can't be done. Well, that just about does it. You know, we hope you have some fun with these bar bets and games. In fact, one of the great things that just might happen is after you've watched this tape and learned the bets, somebody might try to pull one of them on you, and then you can beat them at their own bet. That's great fun. You know, and there's also a lot of other bar bets and games out there. If you know of one, send it to us at this address, because if we use it on our next video, oh yeah, we're going to do this again. It'll be Bar Bets 2 or Son of Bar Bets. Well, we'll send you $250. One payment per idea, and the first postmark wins. So, for Michelle and I, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.